Thank you so much for that introduction, Berlin. Before I get started, I would like to acknowledge the country from where I'm talking to you today in Melbourne by paying my respects to the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nation. I wish to pay my respects to elders past, present and emerging, and I would also like to extend that respect to all Aborigines and Torres Strait Islander people around Australia. Hi everyone, my name is Jess. And something you should know about me is I love magic shows. Ever since I was a kid, the ability to mind read, to make things disappear, to make doves appear, it always blew my mind. A few months ago, we had a magician come into work and he performed a magic trick. He successfully guessed the passcode of a colleague's phone, and it absolutely wowed everyone. I mean, look at that face. They definitely saw something incredible. How the magic trick was done consumed me all day at work. On my way home, I was researching how was this magic trick done? Who has done that before? Who has looked up how a magic trick has been done? Come on, let's be honest. Wow, I'm in a room full of party poopers, y'all. I just needed to know how it was done. And once I found out, I practiced the trick, tried to do it on my partner, and of course I failed. Because I'm a designer, I'm not a magician, who am I kidding? It was a quick way to find out that I should not, in fact, quit my day job. The thing is, as soon as I found out how the magic trick was done, that initial rush of excitement that I first had when I first saw the magic trick was lost. The magic had died. Even my workmate was disappointed when he found out that it wasn't real magic. See, a magic trick without the magic is just a trick. No one likes being tricked, but we all like a little bit of magic. It's that magic that makes the experience. It's an emotional experience. Describing magic can be difficult, so we can actually think of it as the feeling of romance. And I'm not talking about romance in the lovey-dovey way. I'm talking about that feeling of unexpected beauty and awe, that rush of excitement and that personal connection. We look for magical experiences. We want to be charmed and form intimate relationships and fall in love with experiences. There's a reason that we dine in the dark, go to escape rooms, and go on first dates. Humans crave romance. I mean, why are you all here today? You want to experience all of this. We have the stage, the band, the lighting. You get to form personal connections. You could go online afterwards and watch all of this, but it just doesn't hit exactly the same way. You want to be in that moment of excitement and experience all of these emotions firsthand. And as with falling in love, it's a feeling that's hard to explain. It just can't be put into one single word. We are all romantics. Now, if we think about our everyday lives, we always have the answers to everything. Don't know where to eat? Ask Google. Not sure what your friends are doing? Check your Instagram stories. We are so emotionally disconnected to the world, relationships can feel transactional, and the romance of our everyday lives seems to be becoming more and more rare and expensive at that. We are now shifting more towards optimization, functionality, and productivity. We need to know how everything is done. Have we forgotten how magic makes us feel? Our world is digital, and there isn't a thing that you can't do now that isn't impacted by something digital. Our phones and our computers are our work, they're our social interactions, our doctors, our lawyers, they're everything to us. And I'm not here to tell us that we need to change that reality. But I want us to think, in this digital world, how do we bring back that romance, that emotional experience, that magic into our everyday lives that humans so desperately crave? And we're now at a pivotal time in history where we have the opportunity for a renaissance in design. The Renaissance was a time of cultivating humanism after periods of culture decline and stagnation after the Middle Ages. Part of me feels like we're really at that point, in the point of cultural stagnation, where we've become like machines, always looking for what's next and optimizing our lives, rather than allowing us to be romantics, to take a moment to enjoy that experience and be charmed. when thinking about artificial intelligence, that is AI, there's a risk that as it flourishes in today's society, and as we simply use it or design for it to further optimize our lives, completely forgetting to create that romance that humans crave. There's a saying that the best moment to influence a new medium is at the very start of that medium. And right now, we're in that moment of defining what AI could mean for us. Who here has already played with AI? Put your hands up. Wow, amazing. I want you to ask yourself, how did it feel? No, but really, how did it feel? On Saturday afternoons or Sunday afternoons, I would normally play on my iPad, drawing things up, or I would watch a film or read a book just to do something for myself before the work week starts. I decided to play with a text-to-image generator, changing words as I went, making edits as I went along. I completely got lost in this whole process, just as I would in a good film or in a good book. AI allowed me to have that emotional, romantic experience by helping me rediscover my own creativity. It allowed me to go intimate with myself, to go deeper into my mind and pull things out of my subconscious. Just like indulging in art or a good book, it was an emotional, romantic experience. I got to explore a new space with just my mind and a computer. AI is giving us the opportunity to have a new emotional experience. It can be empowering, helping us have that experience, that magic that we so intrinsically crave, but in the digital world. So how can we leverage this AI tool to create a space that empowers others to ignite that romance? Science fiction author Arthur C. Clarke said, "Any sufficiently advanced technology is indistinguishable from magic." An example is elevators. They used to be extremely unsafe, that they were not made for passengers because if the rope cut or broke, well, people would literally fall to their deaths. In 1854, Elisha Otis presented the first passenger elevator as a magic show. He would hoist himself up high above the crowd and ordered for the rope to be cut. People would apparently faint. The crowd was absolutely terrified, only for the elevator to remain exactly where it was. Magic, right? Well, times have certainly changed since 1854, but at that time, this elevator was considered so advanced that it was indistinguishable from magic. But it wasn't just the technology that enabled Otis to create a magical experience. Just like in the AI era, it's not just the technology that will help you create romance and bring that magic into our everyday lives. There were 3 core ingredients that Otis had underlying in his design and his magic show that created a magical experience. And today I'm going to share what they are and their relevance to the AI era by drawing some parallels to a magic show. So in a magic show, there's a moment of astonishment and awe. This profound moment is carried with us even after the magic show has ended. As I mentioned at the start, I was literally thinking about this magic trick all day. I was absolutely charmed. And this leads me to my first ingredient for a great magical experience. Your product needs to charm people. When experiences are based solely on productivity and functionality, the chances of a memorable experience are low. Why? Well, because people haven't been charmed. They haven't had an emotional connection. Think about the last time you used your alarm or say your weather app. Chances are it wasn't really memorable. And it got me thinking, how can we create this charm? And one way is through micro-interactions, a momentary delight. For example, in Canva, the rubber ducky appears for every 100th download, a little Easter egg. These experiences are great examples of how we can bring surface delight to an experience and also incorporate playful moments, which Trudy will actually talk about in her panel. But how can we create charm that goes beyond the surface level, that creates that lasting emotional impression after people have left the experience? We can actually find really great examples of deep emotional connections created through video games. My brother recently played The Last of Us, which is a video game, and he sent me this. The thing about charm is it's the emotional experience that the user goes on that creates this sentiment. I laughed. People have become so invested in stories and when they're a part of it, it feels more personal and more intimate. That's not to say that we need to forget about productivity and optimism, but how can we weave a story into our digital experiences that users can feel a part of? And how can AI be a character in that story? Once we start designing for this story, we can help take users on this emotional journey, and maybe they can start experiencing magic and ultimately start discovering or rediscovering their own creativity. Moving on to the next ingredient. As I mentioned, in a magic show, we experience emotions throughout the show, whether it be awe, fright, or happiness. The whole experience and the whole experience is choreographed to tell a story. There's the beginning, the middle, and the end. We become so emotionally invested in a magic show, but it's done in a way that appears so simple to effectively evoke those emotions. If Otis's magic trick, his elevator show, was any more complex, the audience may have lost track. And this is what allows for a charming emotional experience. So I'm going to dive into my second ingredient now, and that is simplicity. Simplicity is an experience. Simplicity not only makes things easy for users, but leaves a positive emotional effect. You can't just have something that is simple to use. No, it must be pleasurable, because that's what will leave your customers loving your experience. But what does it mean to be simple? Colin Dunn created this simplicity curve, where on the x-axis you have the understanding of the problem, and on the y-axis you have the complexity of your solution. At the bottom of a curve, you have a low understanding of the problem, so your design has a low complexity solution. You haven't uncovered all the complexities of the problem, so your solution doesn't really capture the entirety of the problem. Here you have uninformed simplicity. As your understanding of the problem increases, so does the complexity of your solution. Your solution addresses all the criteria, but it's done in a way that reflects the complexity of the problem. Welcome to uninformed complexity. There are so many examples of products stuck at this stage. Sure, they solve the problem, but it's complex, and there's a steep learning curve and cognitive load when engaging with the product. The opportunity for excitement is compromised by the complexity of the solution. Now on to the next stage, which is the most difficult stage, moving towards the other ends of the spectrum, towards informed simplicity. And this is when the solution is so simple, but addresses all the complexities of the problem. People get to actually enjoy the experience because they're not worried about the complexities that they have to face. What's more, they might even be excited to engage with your product again. An example is Canva's gradient fills, which provides preset styles for gradients. This drastically simplifies the experience of having to determine what type of fill you want, the color direction that you want it to go in, where the color stops are. Saying all of that even feels super complex. So going back to the simplicity curve, and I'm actually going to add one more thing to this curve. Can you guess what that might be? I'm getting along with blank stares. It's magic. It's the design nirvana. Not only is your solution so simple, but the complexity of the solution seems so low, it's almost unfathomable. It must be magic. And right now, AI is giving us a new opportunity to think about how we can design experiences in this new space so that people can experience magic of the unfathomable. But here's the catch. Without undergoing this bell curve, you can't reach the world of magic. You can't slap AI into a product and call it a day. Singapore's Bus Uncle chatbox experience simplifies wayfinding in a way that avoids the complexities of using signs, reading bus timetables, using Google Maps. All you have to do is pull out Facebook Messenger, which I already use to chat with my friends, and ask Bus Uncle, which bus do I take? How long will it take? Are there any seats left? It's a chatbot. So what? We've reached informed simplicity. But who here has been to Singapore? Quite a lot of you. If you haven't, something distinct about Singapore is their Singlish. It's their unique expressions, their humour, and their accent, which makes the experience. For example, this is what a conversation might look like in Singlish. Kana, Can la. Can me. Can. And this is actually what is being said. Bus Uncle speaks English, and his unexpected responses make him feel human, and he even makes you laugh. And it's also an incredibly simple solution. There's no bells or whistles in the UI. He transforms that stressful experience into something that feels like a magical experience. So now we have charm, simplicity, and now on to the third ingredient. Every magician needs an audience, otherwise, well, he's just a guy in his bedroom doing tricks. The level of audience interaction can vary from complete engagement, such as guessing which card the person has, to minimal participation. The biggest thing in all of this is it's a shared experience. Magic comes alive when it's shared between two people. A connection is built between the magician and the audience. The relationship between the AI and the person is going to be pivotal to how we allow to foster romance in our everyday lives. And this is where we should be focusing our attention on. And this is our third ingredient, the relationship. You'll notice that I put an asterisk next to relationship because it's important to understand that there are both positive and negative side effects in the relationship that I will talk about. There has been a misguided emphasis on if we are building relationships with AI, does that mean that we need to move towards AI that can feel? And that's the wrong question to ask. The right question to ask is AI powerful enough for people to form intimate relationships? And the answer is yes. In the social media era, platforms such as Facebook, Twitter, and TikTok are all racing to get the most growth out of our attention. Now in the era of AI agents, I believe it's going to be a race for creating the most intimate relationship. And that's why we shouldn't be thinking of AI as, well, AI. What we're really building are synthetic relationships. These relationships can be transformative and emotional. Think about the last time you had a transformative moment in your own life. Chances are that there was someone there that helped spur that moment of transformation. The way AI, or in this case, the way that someone or AI in this case can be the mechanism that drives that dominating lock-in effect because of how they make you feel. We now have the opportunity to ensure that we don't make the same ethical mistakes of the social media era. In defining this new era of synthetic relationships, I want you to think, what type of synthetic relationship will help create that safe sense of intimacy and that magic experience that we crave? Academia actually gives us some really great frameworks to think about how people want to interact with AI and form those relationships. And this is the first step to understanding how we can design for for romance in an ethical way. For a relationship where there is low engagement of the user and a completely autonomous AI, we have the guardian angel. They work independently in the background, and the user may even forget that they're there. An example is vehicle assistance, such as automatic emergency braking. You don't need to do anything for the AI to kick in. Well, other than being distracted from driving, of course. You then have the pixie, where the user doesn't need to be highly engaged, but they can simplify their workload. Visible automations such as Grammarly act as the pixie. You then have the colleague, who requires high engagement from the user, and the AI delivers informed results with a goal in mind. Most of the AI now, such as image and text generators, act as a colleague. Then you have the best friend. This is where there is an interdependence between the AI and the user. Bus Uncle and I, we were best friends. And how the AI responds depends on the user's engagement, and the powerful synthetic relationship can be formed here. It's important to establish what kind of synthetic relationship your users are expecting at that point in the experience and the risk for each relationship, because this influences users' trust and acceptance, but also the liability of your product. Without trust and acceptance, a user cannot experience magic because they may perceive the AI as a threat or have unrealistically high expectations of the AI. But with great power comes great responsibility. And as we design for synthetic relationships, we need to understand the possibilities so that we can bind the risks and get ahead of the curve. Going back to this quote, the best moment to influence a new medium is at the very beginning of this medium. We are now at the crux of defining our relationship in this new reality, and we also have the opportunity to ensure that we can design in an ethical, safe way. How can we embrace the partnership with AI and design to help foster intimate relationships in a safe, ethical way? So these are the 3 ingredients of magic, and I hope they illustrate how you can start building magic into your everyday lives, particularly in the AI era. I really believe that we have been given the opportunity as people in the design world to define what this new era could mean for us, where the emotional aspect of magical experiences are becoming more and more valued. Yes, we love to be productive and efficient. We love saying that we're busy, but how we go back to the roots of what makes us human and design for a world where people can be reminded what magic feels like. The design space is no longer about finding solutions to problems. Explore your romantic side. Think of yourself as a romantic. We are defining this new era, so I'll leave you with this. How can you not just design an experience, but create safe, magical experiences that everyone will remember? Thank you.